Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more to reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. Plus, with 1 billion members on LinkedIn, that means you'll have access to 130 million decision makers and 10 million C-level executives. That's a lot of millions of the right people. Get started today and see how you can reach the right buyers with LinkedIn's enhanced targeting tools. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
Coming up on this episode of the Entrepreneurial You.
If your business doesn't add up to the right amount of value for that potential buyer, then they're not going to buy it. The promise is not your mission, it's not your vision, it's not those internal looking things. It's what you're shouting out to the world on top of the mountain. You're saying, this is what I do, this is how I can help you. 1 in 2 businesses sells because they have to, not because they want to.
Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. It is a show that fuels your passion for business, leadership, and personal growth. I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter. Now, here's the thing. 400 million small businesses exist globally, but only 25% surpass 5 years, year 5. Today, Pete Mohr, exit strategist and certified coach, reveals how to systemize, scale, and sell your business for maximum value. So if you're tired of being your company's bottleneck, trust me, this is the episode you want to tune into for your roadmap. So we're looking today from business operator to business owner. Truth is, many business owners, they get stuck in the day-to-day grind, never building real equity or freedom. So what's my guest mission today? To help you transition from operator to owner. Yes, man. So your business serves your life and just not the other way around, right? Because that's not cool. So we'll dive into exit planning, team optimization, and leadership frameworks that actually work. But before we do that, let me just say, welcome, Pete.
Thanks so much for having me, Heneka. I'm really excited to be here with you and with your listeners today. Just pumped about our conversation.
Me too. So if you could snap your fingers and instantly fix one mistake business owners make, what would it be?
Well, I think we'll snap away and we are going to go for cleaning up their books, cleaning up their accounting practices. Most of the time, small to medium-sized businesses don't do a great job on their financials. And it's so important.
It is absolutely important. So we are going to dive right into talking about exit planning. And we just talk about that, that waving that magic wand, snapping your fingers and fixing the books, right? As we talk about exit planning, what's the biggest misconception out there?
Well, there's a lot, but I'll give you a few.
Yes.
One is that I can sell my business anytime I want to. Is that like, it's no problem. It's like a house. We can just sell it. I think I want to sell and within 3 months I should be out. Well, not really. And, there's all sorts of things we can dig into there. Another misconception is that, and this is the biggest one, my business is worth X amount of dollars when it's really worth Y amount of dollars. And I'll say, I just literally had a conversation yesterday and it was a small business. She believes her business is worth $300,000. And after some, just high level sort of looking at some of the things, it's my belief that it'll probably go for about 150, like literally half of what she thinks that it's worth. But she just thought that, like, she doesn't have any backing on why it's worth 300,000. I'll tell you why she thinks it's worth 300,000, because $300,000 is what she needs to take on to the next project that she wants to do. So she just said, well, my business should be worth that. But without having a background, without understanding the finances, without understanding the process, without understanding the people, without understanding the contracts, without understanding all the clarity, who's going to buy a business that doesn't have this all outlined for them in very clear, concise manner so that they understand what they're buying? Even if $300,000 is a very small business, it's still $300,000. And they still had the opportunity of saying, okay, well, if I don't want to buy a $300,000 business, maybe I buy $300,000 worth of Berkshire Hathaway stocks, or maybe I buy $300,000 worth of General Electric, or maybe I buy a $300,000 rental property. You know, for somebody that's looking at this business, they do have other options for their money. And if your business doesn't add up to the right amount of value for that potential buyer, then they're not going to buy it.
Yeah. And so what comes to mind when you said that, Pete, is that everybody thinks their baby's beautiful, right? And
Of
so we
course.
value, yeah, of course, we value, we're going to put the highest value that we think.
But
We
I've
don't
put
necessarily,
25 years into this,
yeah, of course, my
and I'm
blood,
really
sweat,
good
and
with my
tears.
staff, and I've
Yeah.
got good community presence, and you know
Yes.
what? They should want to buy that. Well, that's the back end of stuff when they understand that the actual value equation works. And the value equation is, how much money is it actually spitting off? What's the seller's discretionary earnings? Like I said, we need to have strong financials. We need to be able to prove not only the last 3 months, but the last 3 years. And they're going to look, of course, at the last year, most importantly, and then the second last year, second most importantly, and it goes that way. But something that happened 2 years ago, if we can't explain a 20 or 30 or $100,000 expense, now they don't trust you. And in due diligence, people get into these conversations, and so many times things boil down to the fact that their books are in bad shape and the owner can't explain what happened. And why would I ever pay for that when you can't even explain what happens here and you don't have any proof?
Mm.
Because one of the things, Heneka, is that small business owners, and I get this, want to get their books in order so that they don't pay that much tax. It makes sense, right? But at the same time, if we're talking about the multiples on the back end of it, it's like if and I'll just use 100,000, if your business generates 100,000 in income because you've written a whole bunch of stuff down, and theoretically it could generate 200,000 in income, in profit, then 2 times 100,000 is 200,000, 2 times 200,000 is 400,000. That's a $200,000 gap in the value of your business. And if it
All right.
goes, all these different things, we need to be able to prove that the seller's discretionary earnings is 200,000, even though the income statement only says 100,000. Like, what are those other things that are in there? And when we look at the power of all of these other things underneath it that helps grow your multiple, then that's what we're talking about. It's really this gap, this value gap that so many people don't understand. And even if you aren't interested in selling your business right now, you need to be working on this all the way along your career, because it's also building your business. It's also giving you more freedom. It's also giving you more profit. It's also giving you a better understanding of where to put your money within and outside of your business. All of these things are just good business practices, and most small business owners don't give them any time of day at all because they're just putting out the next fire in their business that day.
Yeah, tell me about it. So you do the Kolbe assessment. Tell me, how does that help leaders build better teams? Because part of, planning an exit strategy is making sure that you have a great team, that you become replaceable. So how does that assessment helps leaders build better teams?
Oh, Heneka, we could do 2 podcasts just on Kolbe. I love Kolbe. It's so awesome. Kolbe is spelled Kolbe for anybody out there listening. My site on Kolbe is called thekolbecoach.com, so you can learn a little bit more about it there. But From that side of things, Kolbe is an assessment. And a lot of listeners here probably have taken some of these assessments along the way. You might have taken your DISC, your MBTI, your Enneagram, a variety of these different ones. But those ones are more around your preferences. Okay, it's what you prefer. Do I prefer this or this, this or this? It's more emotional type stuff. Kolbe is conative, and conative means it's basically how you act and how you make decisions. It's unique in that way. It's not like the other ones. For example, with Kolbe, you can hire to the answers of that. And you can't, these days, you can't really hire to people's preferences. Essentially a non-start for most HR departments. But you can use Kolbe because it's got nothing to do with your preferences. It's who you are and how you make decisions. So understanding yourself is where you start, and then understanding your team and understanding how your particular profile aligns to what you do is so vital to your own sort of sanity and understanding how you make decisions and how are you a rule follower? Are you a fact finder? Are you somebody that loves risk? Are you somebody that hates risk? Are you somebody that's a hands-on person? Are you somebody that's more somebody that envisions things? Like all of those pieces of the puzzle fit into given roles in the organization, but also fit into teams. And when you start working project management teams and you start working with different, I overlay Kolbe's onto executive teams and working groups and things like that so that we can make better decisions, so that there's less procrastination, so that things move ahead in the way they need to move ahead with the people that we have on our team. And even when we need to bring new people in, it becomes part of the hiring process so that I have an understanding. You can imagine, I'll use this example. Everybody understands what a bookkeeper does. They're there and they're checking off the things. They're balancing bank statements and the visas and all that kind of stuff. If you had somebody who wasn't a sort of checklisty type person in a bookkeeper's role, you could see how frustrating that might be, both for the person in that role and for the boss who's saying, why is this stuff never getting done? So we want to hire somebody that's aligning to the position, whatever that position is, so that it's going to be easier for them. They're going to enjoy their work. We're going to enjoy the results. And then when we start piecing those different pieces together as a full working entity and group, making sure that all the different areas of the profile are looked at. Because even if we think about the risk management, it's like some people love change and other people don't want any change. Well, if you have a whole team of people that don't want any change, nothing's ever going to change. If you have a whole team of everybody that wants tons of change, everything's changing and nothing's actually living on and getting into the real nitty gritty of what needs to be done in order to carry on. So that risk management side of things in a team platform is so important. So it's great stuff. We could go into it in another podcast, but it's just such a great way of looking at your team, understanding yourself, understanding your team, and building a team that's going to last and make decisions. That's what we need in our organization. I love the preference ones too, but I always start with Kolbe and then overlay some of the other stuff at a later time.
All right, so let's talk about your process, your step-by-step process, Pete, for making a business owner replaceable, because believe me, that's where I want to get to.
I wrote a little book. It's called The Business Owner Breakthrough. It's also the name of my podcast.
And it's on Amazon, right?
It is.
Go get the book, guys.
And it's all around a structure called the 5 Ps. And I'm going to tell you that I have added a sixth P to the P equation since I wrote the book. But if you think about this, all of our meetings, everything revolves around this structure. And so when you think about moving from operator to owner, you can't do it unless you have these sort of things in place and you've given this some thought and you've thought about the strategy. I'm going to tell you the 6 Ps right off the bat. So they are the promise, the product, the process, the people, the new one in there that's not in the book, promotion, and the last one is the profit. But it all starts with the bedrock. And the bedrock, just like the foundation of a house, has to be solid and strong, and that's the promise. Okay? And the promise is not your mission. It's not your vision. It's not those internal looking things. It's what you're shouting out to the world on top of the mountain. You're saying, this is what I do. This is how I can help you. And the language in around that is vitally important so that people understand that I can take you from somebody who's, mired down in the frustration and never had a holiday and all this sort of stuff, all the way through to enjoying your life, being more profitable, and looking at your business from an owner, right? And all of these different things. How are you changing? How are you taking your people through their journey, understanding the pains that they have through the product, process, and people that you use to align and assign all of the stuff that you do in your workplace so that they can live a better life. People only buy a better life, Heneka.
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do, really. So the 6 P's, I love it. Promise, products, people, promotion, profit, and process, right?
Right.
Not
We
necessarily in
need
the
to,
order. Yes.
yeah. So once we hone that promise piece, we need to align those other pieces, right? Whatever product, or if you're a service-based business, service starts with an S, so I used product. But products and services, you need to make sure they align with what you're promising. The process, all of the processes, if they're in your head, how could you possibly expect somebody else to do them for you and with you if they're all in your head? A big problem with a lot of small and medium businesses is that they expect other people to know what's in the owner or manager's head. It just doesn't work that way. We need to get process out on paper. We need to get it out on video. We need to get it out in audio. We need to get it out in ways that people can do it. All of the different ways that we're aligning the process to fulfill the promise through the products and services that we have need to be listed, transferable to someone else so that it's not always the owner. This is the way of going from operator to owner. And if you think of it, do you want to be involved in every single decision, every single day, all the time? Because if you do, then you don't need to do this. But if you don't, then we need to start working through the process, because we can't hand over process to somebody, which is the next P, people. If all you're doing is saying, listen, you know what, I need you to go do this. And they look at you and saying, well, I've never done that before. I mean, I don't know what to do. And the owners are like, just do it. You can handle it. Which you see in small business. You can do it. Go for it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they need process.
I can so relate to that. So as we talk about, the idea is to scale so we can actually exit and all of that. When should someone start preparing to sell their business? So let's do that answer that question in relation to scaling. What are some of the considerations that one needs to account for in scaling, and when should you decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to sell my business?
People sell for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
50% of people sell because they want to sell their business, which is great. The other 50, not so great. Sell because they have to sell their business. Think of that. 1 in 2 businesses sells because they have to, not because they want to. That's a real problem. And here are the reasons why. 1, premature death causes the failure of a lot of businesses if they don't have stuff going and the guys can't and the ladies can't keep working. If that owner passes away prematurely, what happens? If the processes aren't there, if the people aren't there, if things don't continue on without that person, there's no business left. You're leaving the legacy of everything you've done for X amount of years to fall down. So how important is doing this? 1 in 2 businesses fail and sell or close because they have to. Here's another one, divorce. 1 in 2 people get divorced. When the divorce happens, what happens? They usually split everything. Well, if there's a business there that has a lot of value, the other partner in the marriage is going to want their value there. And sometimes there's not enough cash flow in the business to do that, and they have to close the business or sell the business prematurely. 3, disability. What happens if you get cancer and you got to be out for 3 months because you got to take chemo and all this other stuff? And even if you come back healthy, how much of that is caused damage to the business, maybe to where it even closes? Another one, distress. COVID a few years ago, tariffs this year. I mean, there's always distress that you can't control, but can affect your business. It can cause your business to fail. It can cause you to need to sell. And you need to be exit ready at all times, not just when you're getting to the other side of the coin, which is I'm ready to exit and I want to. Is my business ready? And if my business is ready to exit on the other side, it's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm now ready. Some people come to me and say, I'm ready to sell my business, not because they just want out, but because they're fed up. And my job as a business coach for them and to work with them is, yeah, we can get it ready to sell and we got some work to do. And it's probably going to take 1 to 2 years because it does take time to get the business. If you want to get the value out of the business to the point where we can maximize the value, it usually takes some time, or you're going to take a decreased amount. And that's maybe if you're sick and you got to get out, you got to get out. Well, let's do the quick wins to maximize it as much as we can and then get out. But if you have 2-3 years, then let's start planning now so that 3 years from now, we're building the value and we have that last year to actually sell it. Takes about a year to sell most businesses, by the way, And so they don't happen like a house. You don't pop your house up 1 week and it's gone in within 2 months almost every time. So that's irregular for most businesses. It takes a year, 18 months, from the time you list, and it takes 1 or 2 years to get ready for most businesses. And the best thing to do is to start by knowing where you stand now. And that's why on my site called The Exit Ready Business, you'll see right on the homepage, it says, take the Value Builder Assessment. And it's your benchmark. The Value Builder Assessment, when you take that, it takes you about 15-20 minutes. It asks for your profitability numbers in it. You don't have to put them in. You can still get the whole report on everything else other than that. You can put those in at a later time. But it gives you 8 key areas of your business that you are either killing it on or not killing it on. And it sort of gives you the green light, the yellow light, and the red light. And now it's time to go to work on the things that are red and yellow so that I can build the value of my business over the course of however much time I have, whether that's I have a year or whether I have 20 years, because I'm really not looking at exiting. It's still the same thing. We're building value every year in our business so that we're ready in case we're one of those 2 people that has to exit. We still want to maximize the amount of money that we can get when we have to exit as opposed to when we want to. But when the business is set up and you're going from operator to owner and you're sitting in the owner's box, when you do your quarterly reviews, you can now make the decision as to whether you want to exit or not. And that's a really freedom point for you. It's like, do I still want to do this, or is now the right time? So you ask, when is the right time? Well, it's never the right time if you're head down, making all the decisions, working 70 hours a week, because you're not going to get the most value.
All right, great points there, Pete. Let's move into our community connection segment.
Yeah.
So in this segment, I invite our community to share your reviews, your questions, your feedback, etc., to engage with us. And I'd love to hear from you, our amazing listeners or peak performers, about your thoughts on today's episode or any questions you may have for Pete or myself. So please share your reviews, your feedback, questions via email at heneka@henekawatkisporter.com or on WhatsApp at 876-849-2571. Also, I just want to tell you in this segment, this community connection segment, that I'm really excited to share about my upcoming leadership cruise. It's a groundbreaking leadership and networking event hosted aboard Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas. So absolutely, what's going to happen is that this experience is going to bring together a diverse community of leaders, professional entrepreneurs, for 4 unforgettable days of growth, or nights really, empowerment and transformative learning against the stunning backdrop of the Bahamas. And we're leaving from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So reach out to me at heneka@henekawatkisporter.com or on WhatsApp 876-849-2571 to get the details. All right. At this time, I come back to Pete Mohr, and he's going to take 30 seconds and share his final thoughts around the subject, and then share with us how might our community continue this conversation with him.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me, Heneka. It's been awesome. I guess a final thought was, and that's why I called my website The Exit Ready Business. My final thought to you, as we've thought about this and you kind of put into framework, I could be one of those 2 that has to exit your business. Is your business exit ready? What do you need to do? Do you know the true value of your business? And are you okay with the true value of your business? Because if you're not, you got some work to do. And that's why you talk to people like Heneka. That's why, you hire a business coach like me, whatever the case is why you're listening to this podcast, because we always want to be building value in our business. And the best way to go and find out this is you can find out everything, Kolbe Coach, Exit Ready Business, all of that at Pete-Mohr, Mohr.com. All of my sites, websites, everything fall down into play from that site. So Pete-Mohr.com. You can find me on LinkedIn at the same name or on Instagram. And I'm happy to chat with anyone here about what we've talked about today.
Awesome. And let's move into trending now. So a staggering statistic, as I mentioned earlier, only 20% of small businesses survive past their 5th year, and even fewer are prepared for a successful exit. With automation tools like AI streamlining operations and fractional leadership becoming more popular, there's never been a better time to focus on building systems that scale. And that's what's trending now. So again, thank you so much, Pete Mohr, for joining me today on the Entrepreneurial You podcast. And to our listeners, if you want to learn more about how to systemize and scale your business or prepare for an exit, I want you to go and visit Pete's website. He mentioned it earlier, as well as he's all over social media on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Find him on YouTube as well. And if you love this episode of the Entrepreneurial You, be sure to subscribe, leave a rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. Share with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, your business should fund your freedom, not steal it. All right. Okay. I want you to affirm with me. I am building a self-sustaining business that thrives without me. Repeat again. I am building a self-sustaining business that thrives without me. Thank you so much to our amazing sponsors. Of course, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, as well as Heneka Watkis-Porter.com. Do take care.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.